Hey, what's up you guys? Chris here, back with another video, and Happy New Year! I just wanted to say thank you guys again so much for a wonderful past year. We have accomplished a bunch, and we are almost in the YouTube Partner Program. We're about like 70 something hours away from being able to apply, which is great. And I just wanted to, again, say thank you so much for all the support. But for the first YouTube video of the year, I figured we'd do something a little bit fun, and it has to do with Mickey Mouse. Yes, we're talking about the well-known mouse that Walt Disney Company has been sucking dry for the past million of years. At least it seems that way. And I figured we'd talk about it because as of January 1st, 2024, Mickey Mouse is now in the public domain. Now, you're probably wondering what that even means and probably asking yourself, how does this affect me if I'm a gamer? And that's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm sure within the last day or two, you've been seeing tons of memes like this one, or even this one. And I just wanted to talk about how this can affect gaming in a specific way. But before we get to that, we do have to do a little bit of copyright law recapping. It's not the most interesting stuff, but I'm going to make it as easy and simple as possible. This is mostly from memory. I referenced an article which I'll keep in the document, but I did take a copyright class in college when I was learning how to go into marketing, and I find this information kind of interesting, so maybe it'll help you understand why or how it finally got into the public domain. Now, what is copyright? Now, the best way to explain it is it's the rights you get automatically when you create a new product, a new asset, a new figure, all these new creations that nobody has thought of before. That is the right you get when you create it. Now, copyright is a little bit more tedious than you would expect, but the best thing about it is that if you created it, it's yours. Someone cannot use it to make money. You don't need to fill out any documents. You don't need to do anything. Right off the bat, if you have proof that you created an item or a product or a character, you own the rights to that, and nobody can use it to profit off of, especially if you have proof. You could take them to court, and it's pretty cut and dry there. But there is a special copyright protection law that Walt Disney and the Disney Company have used towards their advantage, and have even used a loophole to maintain their hold on Mickey Mouse longer than the standard person would be able to keep the rights to their property. Now, once your allotted amount of time is up, the item in question or the product in question is now available on public domain, which means you don't need to pay any rights. You don't need to basically sign any forms. It is free use. You're allowed to use it in any of the media, the content. You could sell stuff with this item on it, because at this point it has aged out into something that's a little bit more historical and belongs to the public. So real quick, I just wanted to expand a little bit on how Disney has used the copyright protection laws on Mickey to benefit themselves. And I have some notes here, so if I look down, just take note of that. So starting off to the first acts and documents protecting your rights for copyright. The first one actually came out in 1790, which protected works for up to 28 years. Now, it's actually 14 years, and then you have to renew to gain the rights again for another 14 years. Then in 1831, there was actually a new act implemented that went from 28 years of rights towards your property to 42 years. And then lastly, in 1909, there was the final and the most current rules when it comes to copyright protection. And that gave you a legal right to 56 years to own your property without anyone being able to use it freely. Now, throughout all these changes and all these times, not everybody got to hold on to their property for as long as they wanted. Some timed out, some didn't renew, but Walt Disney Company was always on top of that. And even, like I said, found a way to maintain rights longer than they should have been able to. So this is just an excerpt from an article I read. Again, I'm linking this down below if you want to read the whole thing. And this basically says, as the date grew near, Disney, the corporation, grew increasingly anxious. By this time, Mickey was worth billions in annual revenue and had become the face of the company. Losing him to public domain would be a massive financial blow. So quietly, Disney took to Washington and began lobbying Congress for a new copyright legislation. Now, you can keep reading for the technical details of how they maintain their control over the Mickey Mouse property, but the one thing you gotta know here is they were trying to lobby the government so they can hold on to that property longer than the allotted years, which again, to this day, still hold true for most people and companies in the world. So they got what they needed out of this and basically held on to Mickey until, as we said, 2024, as of 2 days ago, and now he has finally entered the public domain. But it's not exactly what you think. So this doesn't apply to all different types of artwork of Mickey. It actually applies to the original artwork that was seen in Steamboat Willie back in the day. So current pictures and current depictions of Mickey Mouse that the Walt Disney Company still uses cannot be used to sell for your own profit, especially because they still have the control over those rights. It also helps to mention that there's also a version of Minnie that has also hit public domain, but we're just talking about Mickey, and you can just assume that the rules also apply to Minnie. But anyway, so from this point on, Mickey is now available for any person in any media type to use as long as it's that specific version of Steamboat Willie. Now, finally, what does this mean for gaming? And you know, that is the interesting part. So on the first of the year, we actually got a trailer for a new video game called Infestation 88. And it's by Nightmare Forge Games. So they have been working on this under the table for a while and obviously couldn't talk about it because at the moment Mickey was still considered under copyright protection. And now that it isn't, they launched their first trailer, and it is a horror game that Disney would not have approved it prior to the copyright protection being lifted. So like I said, this means there's a whole bunch of new freedoms that people have not had access to when referring to the Walt Disney property, well, what was the Walt Disney property of Mickey Mouse. And now we have free reign for what we can do. Now, because this game is coming out, it also has me questioning other places or other spots they could be using this old version of Mickey Mouse. And the one that would fit best stylistically out of all the games I could think of would have to be Cuphead by Studio MDHR. So they actually made the game in a style that was very like referential to the old cartoons that Mickey Mouse appeared in. So for example, if they wanted to use Mickey Mouse in their game, they can easily make an asset and make it DLC for people to use. Now, it's not cut and dry like that. I'm sure you have to look into it a little bit more, but the rights to use Mickey have become tremendously more accessible than they were a couple days ago. Like I said, this isn't limited to just video games. A lot of other media companies can now use this in their advertisements, in books and stories. And I believe that the Walt Disney Company is still trying to look into a way to get another loophole out of this, but it doesn't seem likely that they'll be able to. But let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know as well if you know anything that I don't about copyright law. Again, most of it's going from my memory of school and this one article I read to brush up on it. But if there's anything that I'm missing, definitely share in the comments and I'll pin it for other people to see. And of course, I talk about tons of video game stuff. If that interests you, we do Pokemon videos, Pokemon cards, video games. I do product reviews. Definitely consider subscribing. It helps support the channel. Like I said, we are almost into the YouTube program, and then we got to do another 1,000 watch hour push to be able to get monetization from the AdSense. So any support would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, guys, I just want to do a quick little video to talk about the situation. I find this stuff kind of interesting. So if you do, definitely let me know if this is something you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye.